In this video, we're going to be taking a look at multiplying decimals, and the essential question that we're really going to be focusing in on is what strategies can you use to place a decimal point in the product. Now this lesson is going to be taken out of page 187 in your Go Math book, so you need to have your Go Math book out, your math journal, and a pencil. Now at the very top of page 187, we want to take a look at some connections that we can make. And it says you can use what you have learned about patterns and place value to place the decimal point in the product when you multiply two decimals. Now what do we know and what can we see? So when a number is multiplied by a decimal, okay, for example 1 times 1/10, that's a decimal. The decimal point moves one place to the left in the product for each decreasing place value being multiplied. So we can see we have 1/10, therefore the decimal point moves one place to the left from that 1. 1/10 times 1/10, the decimal point moves two places to the left. Why two places to the left? We have one decreasing place value and another decreasing place value for a total of two decreasing place values. 1/100th times 1/10, we have three decreasing place values. How do we know that? Because we have three total digits to the right of the decimal. Therefore, we move our decimal point three places to the left. So it's important to understand this concept. It can be a very tricky concept whenever you're multiplying decimals, but if you can get this down, you should be able to multiply decimals without any problem at all. So let's take a look at the problem on page 187. It says a male leopard seal is measured and has a length of 2 8/10 meters. A male elephant seal is about 1 5/10 times as long. What length is the male elephant seal? So what are we going to do? We are going to multiply 1 5/10 times 2 8/10. Okay, so we need to figure out a couple things. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find the length of the male elephant seal. What are we going to use? The numbers 2 8/10 and 1 5/10. How are we going to use them? As you can see, we are going to multiply. Now, we have step 1, multiply as with whole numbers. In other words, we're just going to take 28 times 15 and just multiply as if these two digits are whole numbers, or two numbers are whole numbers. A lot of times I see students, and a lot of us, myself included sometimes, when we see decimal points, our IQ may drop about 250 points, and we think, 5 times 8 is not 40 when we're dealing with decimals. Okay, it's still the same basic facts and all of that. The only thing is you have decimals there. Now, if we were to multiply 28 times 15, we have the product of 420. Now, our next step, we need to figure out where the decimal point goes. Okay, so we can see that we have multiplied by one decreasing power or place value for 28 and 15. In order to get it back to where it needs to go, multiply it by another decreasing place value. Okay, or think about how many digits to the right of the decimal is 5. Do we have in 1 5/10? How many digits to the right of the decimal do we have? 2 8/10. Okay, one place value, one place value, one place value plus one place value equals two place values. Okay, so therefore our 420 needs to have two place values to the right of my decimal. So we need to plop that decimal point right between the 4 and the 2. Okay, so we can even drop that 0 there. Okay, so we're going to place that decimal point, so the value of the decimal we can see is hundredths. Why hundredths? Because we have two places to the right of the decimal. So we'll write hundredths here. Okay, so the length of a male elephant seal is about we could say 4 2/10 meters. Okay, we can drop that 0 because remember, a 0 to the right of my final place value in decimals does not have any value at all. So 4 2/10 meters. Now we're going to take a look at a what-if problem there at the bottom of page 187. It says, what if you multiplied, and I have it right up here, 2 8/10 times 1 74/100? What would be the place value of the product? Now, the product would be, the place value in the product would be the thousandths place. Why do we know that? Because we have a total of 1, 2, 3 digits to the right of the decimal within my problem. Okay, so 3, think about 3 decreasing place values, okay, within my problem, my multiplication problem. Therefore, I need to have 3 digits to the right of the decimal in my answer. So it would be thousandths. Okay, let's take a look at another way that we can work through these problems. We have page 188. It says 7 8/10 times 3 12/100. Okay, so the first thing that we can do is estimate. Okay, so we can use an estimate to place the decimal point in a product. You can do this. Okay, so we have 7 8/10, which gives us, it's going to be 8 rounded to the nearest whole number. 3 12/100 is going to be 3 rounded to the nearest whole number. We have 8 and 3. It's going to give you 24. Okay, now the next thing that we can do is we can eliminate those decimal points and not even think of them as even being there. Okay, so we have 312 times 78. Okay, and let's work through this problem together. We have 8 times 2 is going to give us 16. Put our 6 here, carry our 1. Now we have 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And then we were going to multiply 8 times 3, which is actually 8 times 300, because that 3 represents 300. So 8 times 3 is going to give me 24 for my first partial product. Now we're going to multiply by that 7, which is actually represented as a 70. 7 times 2 is 14. Put my 4 down, carry my 1. 7 times 1 is 7, plus another 1 is 8. And 7 times 3 is 21. It's very important that you just know these basic facts very quickly. Now from here we can add. 6 and 0 gives me 6. 9 and 4 gives me 13. Put my 3 here, carry the 1. 1 and 4 is 5, plus 8 is 13. Put my 3 here, carry the 1. 1 and 2 is 3, plus another 1 is 4. And we have our 2 for a total of 24,336. But it's very, very important to remember that we just ignore the decimal points. Okay, there are decimal points that go in here. Okay, so we have 24,336 we'll write in there. But we need to think about our decimal, or our estimate. Our estimate is 24. So since our estimate is 24, we would not put the decimal point between the 2 and the 4, or between the tenths and the hundredths. Why is that? Because that would be 243, which is not even close to our estimate. So our estimate was 24. Therefore, use a different color of ink here, we can put our decimal point right between the ones and the tenths place, because that is a number that's very close to our estimate. So 7 8/10 times 3 12/100 is going to give us 24 and 336 thousandths. So thinking about your original estimate and looking at your final answer, they should be very close. The product should be close to your estimate. Okay, we have 3 62/100 times 1 4/10. Okay, what we want to do is place the decimal point in the product. How would I go about doing this? I know that 100th is being multiplied by a tenth. Okay, so I have 2 digits to the right of the decimal for my product on top. I'm sorry, my factor on top. 1 digit to the right of the decimal for my factor on the bottom. Okay, so that means we have 3 total digits to the right of the decimal within my multiplication problem. Therefore, I need to have 3 total digits to the right of the decimal for my answer. And think about 100th as being multiplied by a tenth, so we can even use the pattern of 100th times 1/10. Okay, and just remember that for each decreasing place value being multiplied, you need to move the decimal point to the left, okay, of this final number. So we have a total of 3 digits to the right of that decimal. Therefore, we put that decimal between the ones place and the tenths place. Okay, I want you to work through these problems all by yourself, and when you're finished you can press play and I will have the answers for you. So use either of those strategies that I talked about as far as decimal placement, and when you're finished I will have the answer for you. So pause the video now. Okay, here are the 3 answers. We have 26 and 86 hundredths. I placed my decimal point between the 1 and the ones and the tenths place. Why is that? 2 digits to the right of the decimal within my problem, 2 digits to the right of the decimal within my product. Now, I use estimating for this one. You can see I had an estimate of 30. When I multiplied without my decimals, I had 33,465. I knew to place my decimal point to the right of the ones place because my estimated answer was 30, and 33 is close to 30. If I were to place it between the 4 and the 6, 334 is not close to 30. And then for the final one, 36 and 24 hundredths, I just used how many digits to the right of the decimal within my factors equaled the total digits to the right of the decimal within my product. I want you to work through these 2 problems all by yourself. When you're finished, you can press play and I will have the answers for you. So pause the video now. Okay, for the problem on the left, 17 and 68 hundredths, how did I know to place my decimal point between the 7 and the 6? I just looked at how many places to the right of the decimal are within my factors. That told me how many digits to the right of the decimal will be in my answer. I use estimating for 9 and 1/10 times 5 and 7/10. I have 51 and 87 hundredths. My estimated answer was 54. Therefore, I knew to place my decimal point to the right of the ones place because that 51 is close to 54. Okay, I want you to work through these 2 problems all by yourself. When you're finished, you can press play. I will have the answers for you. I will just say it is much, much easier to multiply 6 and 1/100ths and 9 and 34 hundredths on the top. Okay, put those on the top when you're working through these 2. So pause the video now. Okay, we have 28 and 848 thousandths. You can see there are 2 digits to the right of the decimal with my 6 and 1/100ths, and 1 digit to the right of the decimal within my 4 and 8/10ths, giving me a total of 3 digits to the right of the decimal. Therefore, 3 digits to the right of the decimal within my answer. I used estimating for the next problem. 9 times 2 gave me 18. My final answer was 14,010, and then I knew that that 18 was close to 14, so I put my decimal point to the right of the 4. Okay, moving to the conclusion of the video, I want you to work through problem 27 on page 190. When you are finished, you can press play and I will have the answer for you. So pause the video now. Okay, the answer is letter D, 7 and 56 hundredths feet. Now moving to the essential question, what strategy can you use to place a decimal point in a product? Here is your answer. I want you to read through it, and I want you to write down what is your favorite way of doing it, either by estimating or by taking a look at how many total digits to the right of the decimal there are in the problem. So this concludes the video on multiplying decimals. If you have any questions about this concept, please come and see me.